So it's been 4 days since I ran the Manchester Marathon, and I thought I'd go through what happened in the race, if it went well, and overall how I felt during the race. To start off, basically, I don't think I was ready to run the Manchester Marathon. My fitness probably wasn't there. I just wasn't ready. I'd not built up the mileage from being injured, but it was a humbling experience, put it that way. So obviously at the start line of any race, you're always nervous because you've put all the training in, everything is behind you, it's all down to that one day, and normally nerves are pretty high because you always want a PB or you always want to do your best. However, I was very nervous when I got to the start line. To put it bluntly, I was not ready to run this race. I probably shouldn't have ran it, but I'd paid 85 quid to run it, and damn right I was getting that medal and I was finishing that race. So because of my injuries, I'd not really racked up that much mileage. I think my biggest mileage week was 33k, so already off to a bad start, and my longest run was 14k. So hindsight is a beautiful thing, and looking back during the race, which I'll talk about in a minute, I probably shouldn't have ran it. So the aim of this race was to set off at around about a 5-minute kilometre pace, and maybe go down to like the 4:40s if I could hold that for a while. The only problem with the marathon, especially in Manchester, I don't know what it's like in any other marathon, but I can imagine it's the same. It is very, very heavily congested because you have a mix of people that have gone into your wave that think they can do better, i.e. me being one of them. And I actually spent the first couple of kilometers running on the verge, like the grass bit to the left of Mancunian Way, which wasn't ideal, and it is taxing on the body jumping up and down a curb. I mean, the curbs are like that big, so hopping up and down, it does take quite a lot of energy. But during races, I hate being in the congested part just because it makes me a bit more nervous, especially chasing a time that I'm not really going to get clear headway. But overall, in the first 5 kilometers, I felt really comfortable. I felt really good, to be honest with you. There was no pain. I was hitting the targets that I needed to hit. And to be honest with you, I thought the race was going to go pretty well 5k into it. This is early into a race, and I know when you get to 21 miles, that's when the real marathon begins. But I felt good, all things considered. The nerves were out of the way. I was starting to settle into sort of a pace that I was comfortable with. But as the race progressed, it started going downhill. So I got to about 10 kilometers, and I think I did that in 45 minutes, which was pretty quick. Probably a lot faster than I wanted to set off with, but it was just so I could get sort of a clear running path. The legs were ticking over pretty fine at this point. I wasn't really struggling. I'd taken a gel because I was aiming to take a gel between every 45 minutes and an hour, just to stop the potential cramping that could happen. And speaking of cramping, it was a very hot day. I think it was about 23, 24 degrees at the peak of the race, which did not help me whatsoever, especially with not getting the mileage in the body. So towards the end of the race, I did get quite a lot of cramp. Everything was going absolutely swimmingly. I was doing really well up until I got to Altrincham. When I got to Altrincham, this is like, again, this happened to me last year. Everything started going downhill. I can't remember, I think it's about 20k you get to Altrincham. So around about the 25k, I started to really struggle. I meant really struggle. I could feel it in the legs, especially the quads. But I just kept plodding along, thinking I'd be fine. But then really, when I got to 30k, that's when everything started to go downhill and I really started to struggle. So I reduced the pace quite a lot. I can't remember what I reduced it down to. I'm going to check that now, actually. So yeah, getting around about the 23 mark, which is a couple of kilometers out of Altrincham, I really started to reduce my pace from a 5-minute pace down to a 5:18. And then for a couple of kilometers, maybe, I don't know, up until 29, I was floating around about the 5:20 to 5:30 pace per kilometer. And then I hit 30, and this is where I first originally stopped, just because I was starting to really feel it in my legs. I didn't experience any cramp at this point. I just needed a minute, so I decided to just take my time and have a bit of a walk and just see if I could get any feeling back into the legs. Then I picked it back up and I was straight back into like the low 5s, and then I went up to the high 5s, and then I got to 35k, which is where I saw my dad and my sister. And this was my first proper break. For about 2 to 3, I'd probably say 2 to 3 minutes, I decided to just completely stop running. I just had a minute with my dad and my sister. I actually stole half of his Pepsi Max because I was spitting feathers. But at this point I was saying to him, like, the next 10 kilometers kilometers is going to be, or 12 kilometers is going to be really, really difficult. And it was. And to be honest with you, you could tell with the effect of the weather. As I was running up to my dad and my sister, there was a lot of people on the side of the road with medical people, like ambulances or anyone that had volunteered to be on the side of the road. There was quite a few. I think I counted about 6 people. So there was definitely a lot of heat exhaustion going around. I can't believe how hot it was for April, considering last year it was quite cold, and I don't go well with running in heat, so God knows anyone else. But really it was not nice to see people on the side, especially a couple of people had collapsed, and I don't know if I was delirious at this point, but it did look like someone was being worked on the chest area, so hopefully nothing happened with that. I didn't really see anything, but that was quite scary, and it's sort of a light bulb moment went off in my head, and it was just basically, rather than chasing the sub 330, which I was on for at this point, just to chill it out a bit, because I'd realised, to be honest with you, if these people have trained for like 16 weeks or whatever and they're keeling over, me that's only trained for 6 weeks, it's probably not ideal. So I decided to rein it back after I saw my dad and my sister down to the 6 minute per kilometre pace. I really did start to struggle when I hit 37. The aim of the game was just to get my medal, get the time and finish it. And to be honest with you, I almost give up. Like, it was the first time in any race I've almost thrown in the towel. I got to 37 and I was walking for about 500 meters, and to me I was like, I'm gonna injure myself again possibly. I'm completely exhausted. I was cramping up both my legs, both quads, which I've never experienced before, and my right calf was just cramping up like no tomorrow. When I was thinking about quitting, I had a quick chat with myself in my head and decided that I need to plod on and keep going and just keep pushing. So I switched the strategy up to every kilometre or every 800 metres to a kilometre, I would then walk for 300 to 400 metres. And that wouldn't be just a slow walk. I thought I would really walk as fast as I could. So when I was doing that, I was walking at about 8-10 kilometre pace, which really did help the legs, especially when I got to like 40k, and at one point both my legs just seized up. But I managed to hold through. The crowds were amazing. The crowds do get you going in races. The only issue with crowds is when people are trying to get you to, motivate you on to carry on going, and you physically can't because your legs won't let you. I mean, I got speaking to quite a few people as we was walking, and a lot of them had said that they'd not struggled with cramp nowhere near as bad as this race. And it was a lot of people that had done Ironman because they all had the tattoo on or they had the headband and caps on. And I'm just an amateur runner. I wouldn't even say I'm an amateur runner. I'm just a guy that enjoys running, and these people obviously take endurance sports really, really seriously. And if they were cramping up, I thought, I've got no chance here, because if these men have been doing quite a lot of training, I'm cooked. I'm completely cooked. But I carried on going. The only downside to this marathon, because it was a different finish. It finished in Hume near Manchester City University, I think. I'm right. It only had the half. I was either massively delirious or I only saw half a mile to go. Normally they put 800 meters, 400 meters. So when I saw that half mile, in my head I was trying to work it out. Obviously I couldn't, because I was all over the shop. I was low on carbohydrates, low on salt and everything else, and just low in the head. I couldn't work it out. And then I come around this corner and there's another corner ahead, and I thought, surely this has got to be the finish line at some point. Like, I was just thinking to myself, I'm just completely cooked. Where's the finish line? So then I got on the final straight, and my friend and my fiance was somewhere in the crowd, so I was looking for them. But at this point, it was just must have been felt like miles, but it must have been about 600 meters. And this is the first time I've ever hit the wall. Like, I felt ill, like really ill. I was all over the show. I mean, I'll probably put a clip in of the recording, as you can see me coming up from the cameraman behind the finish line. I was like proper delirious. Like, my head was going back. I couldn't feel my legs. I was zigzagging, as well as looking for my fiance. I was just fully cooked, absolutely cooked. Like, I could see the heat waves. Must have been just low on everything. I pushed on, managed to see my fiance, managed to give her a kiss. I know that's proper soppy. I just needed it. I was absolutely cooked. I'd not seen anyone for 12k, and I was near the finish line. Crossed it, and I've never been so happy to cross the finish line of any race. Basically, just don't run a marathon if you've not trained for one, even if you've paid 85 quid. because it was not enjoyable. So yeah, looking back, I wish I'd not got injured over Christmas. I wish I'd not had the back injury in January. But it is what it is. I had an experience, a tough experience, but it was good. So now that's done, I'm now in the process of rebuilding myself, and this is what this series is all about, getting back to peak fitness. I want to see if I can get a sub 3 hour 20 marathon, and I also want to beat my half marathon time this year, which is 1 hour 29 minutes and 30 seconds. I want to try and beat that as best I can. So this series is all going to be about me rebuilding to that. And this was just part of the puzzle that I shouldn't have done, but I'm grateful that I did it. I know it was hard. If you don't do hard things in life, then I suppose what's the point? I mean, you don't have to run marathons, but doing hard things, anything can be hard to anyone. So words of wisdom: do not run a marathon if you've not trained for one. And this has been episode 2 of the rebuild season. I'll see you in episode 3.